Guy that started his career as a flyweight, it's probably not going to be too apparent for Hatton once he starts taking those punches.
You're saying so Hatton's not going to be able to outmuscle him?
Well, he's a bigger fighter, naturally bigger, but he's got to be careful for the punches coming back at him because Pacquiao's a natural puncher, probably that would extend all the way up to 154 pounds and be able to hurt guys.
And you tell me Floyd Mayweather Sr. hasn't taught Ricky a little bit about defense?
Yeah, that's why I said he should be more collective in there.
So you're saying that's maybe their game plan?
Yeah, a little bit of aggression and a little bit of technical boxing skills. It's probably in the end going to come down to more aggression because that's the natural fighter that Hatton is. But that's why I think Pacquiao is eventually going to get him in the end.
You're saying it's going under 12 rounds?
It might. I expect it to. Both guys are pretty good punchers. And Hatton cuts, so that's also a great possibility to end the fight.
Okay. You've been watching the Thriller in Manila documentary on HBO. Have you learned anything new after watching the show? Maybe yes, maybe no.
I learned more about the rivalry, the core of the rivalry, mostly, or at least the documentary suggests that it was mostly initiated by Ali.
Meaning the bad blood.
In a bad way, yeah, obviously. He knew he had an intense rivalry on his hand against Frazier, and unlike many other opponents who he'd fool around with, he didn't let up. He attacked Frazier personally, and I think he might have been insecure about his ability in fending off Joe Frazier in the ring, which was the reason he had to attack him outside the ring.
I've watched this show 2 or 3 times. It's a great show, I think. And I tend to agree with you. I think Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali, both in their prime, Frazier wins the majority of fights.
I think Frazier won also. I think the closest that they ever faced both in their prime was the first fight. Obviously, Ali was off for a little bit recently before that fight with the layoff, but Ali had 2 fights to recover, and Frazier beat the hell out of him. And
that's not the opponent that Ali wants to face. The guy is low.
Obviously, it'd be a little closer if Ali was at his best, but fighting a little more frequently. But I think Frazier would beat him.
Anybody else that you see bob and weave as well as Joe Frazier these days, or since Joe Frazier fought?
Not really.
It's really a unique style, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really tough to cope with, and it's maybe Henry Armstrong if you trace all the way back, but it's really perpetual. Just bob, weave, and then keep throwing punches. Just a perpetual boxing style that gives anybody trouble, especially when you put together a great punch like Hammer and Hank and Joe Frazier both had, which is a deadly combination for most guys.
Muhammad Ali was vulnerable to that left hand, wasn't he? You could ask Henry Cooper that too.
Yeah. And
what was it? He just pulled back and just stayed in that range?
Yeah, Frazier would follow through with the whole shot. He knew when Ali was going to pull back, and he kept following through. And he caught Ali so many times in the first fight. He caught Ali a lot in all 3 fights.
I never thought the third fight was that great, and maybe I just didn't pay attention close enough and didn't watch it through. But it was an amazing fight, wasn't it?
It was an amazing fight, especially when you consider that both guys fought in terrible humid conditions late in their career. Ali might not have trained as hard as he should have for that fight, but he gutted it out, both guys did, and produced probably the greatest heavyweight fight in the history of boxing.
Okay, and a thing that I learned that was new is that supposedly Muhammad Ali was not going to come out for the 15th round.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really ironic when you think of it, how Eddie Froch, if he wouldn't have stopped the fight, Frazier might have won 2 out of 3 fights, and history might have been drastically reversed.
Really? Okay, thanks, Alden, for talking to us. Remember to check out aldenboxing.com and fightfan.com for more information. Bye-bye.